Today is Sunday, September 28th, and welcome to the In the Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Kane White. Excited to bring you episode 6 here today. We've reached week 5 of the high school football and the college football season. It's flying by. It always does. Seems like every other season of the year just kind of eases along, and then football season just flies by. So I guess that goes to show time does fly when you're having some fun. So into week 5, the Hoxie Mustang had their conference opener this past week against the Coach Hooks-led Osceola Seminoles. Coach Hooks, a high school coach that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. He does a great job wherever he goes. The Osceola Seminoles got the best of us this week. Our kids played so hard, extremely hard. And that's something that you can't coach: effort, attitude, and that's what those young men have. Showed a lot of it, and we're right there. We're on the cusp of breaking through, and so super excited to see these young men play again this week. Yesterday. What a day yesterday was for the college football world. You had Bama at Georgia, with Alabama winning that one after many people kind of wrote Bama off to start the season. To go between the hedges and get a win is big time. I'm not writing Georgia off yet, though. That's one thing that I'm not going to do is write off Kirby Smart. You had Penn State with their whiteout against Oregon to go in to Happy Valley during a whiteout night game, and for Oregon to get an overtime win, that shows a lot about the Dan Lanning led Oregon Ducks. I'm high on Oregon right now. I really am. I think that they're a talented team. Their quarterback, last name Moore, Dante Moore, I believe is his name. He's definitely a Heisman candidate right now. You also had LSU at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is for real with their quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, who I think I said in episode 5 I saw in person last year when he was at Ferris State. And, a lot of people say, a D2 quarterback, you're going to struggle with that, but that guy can go. He's a heck of a player. And to beat LSU, who going yesterday, I thought was the best team in the country. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but that's the beauty right now of college football with NIL and revenue sharing and the transfer portal. It's just closed that competition gap. I don't see a team going into the playoff undefeated this year. I think it's wide open, and then after this week, I truly think it is. I think there's a lot of teams that could win the national championship this year. A team that really shocked some people, having a lead in the fourth quarter, Mississippi State, that hosted Tennessee. I was high on Mississippi State all week. They're 4-0. I knew it would be tough for Tennessee to go into Starkville and win. I don't know if a lot of people thought that way. Maybe a lot of people did, but Tennessee ends up winning that game in overtime, and so two great games in overtime this week on Saturday. And then you had Virginia and Florida State. Florida State's quarterback Thomas Castellanos, after the numbers he put up early in the year, I thought he was, going to throw his hat into the Heisman race. And I think he still may have his hat in the Heisman race, but, Florida State, who was undefeated, and they go into Virginia, and Virginia gets the best of them. So just goes to show that there's just a lot of parity in college football right now. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. And so just looking forward to the rest of the season. Just been watching so much college football, and it's fun to watch this year. And so I'm going to be keeping close tabs on a lot of teams, and excited to see who comes out on top at the end of the season. You also got the Ryder Cup going on this weekend. That's the biggest golf rivalry in the world, I guess you could say, or maybe the only one. Team Europe and Team USA, that's being played at Bethpage Black in New York. I'll be honest, I haven't kept up with it as much as I probably should. I'm a big golf fan. I would love to go to the Ryder Cup one day. I think it's a great atmosphere. I've seen some clips of some guys doing some jawing back and forth, some caddies involved too. And so That golf match between an entire continent and a country, two teams of 12 guys on each. That might have a little college football atmosphere. So that's something I could get behind. Might have to hit the Ryder Cup up one day. What else is going on? I said in an earlier episode that I was learning Japanese just for fun on the Duolingo app on your phone. If you don't have the Duolingo app and you want to learn a language, download that. It's easy to use and it's been good for me. I was learning Japanese, but I had to switch it over to German. Earlier this week, I ran into one of those green lights in my life. Something that I've wanted to do for an extremely long time. And I figured out that I've got the time to do that now. When I was a junior in high school, in stepped one of the best friends that I've ever had. And he was from Germany, foreign exchange student named Rasmus Bernsen. Sometimes people walk into your life that you didn't know you needed. And that's one guy that I needed. Rambo, as we call him, he joined the football team there at Truman High School, ended up being our starting kicker, a heck of a kicker at that. And Rambo and I, we just became the best of friends. Spent a lot of time, doing things outside of school with me, going to Memphis Grizzly basketball games and Arkansas State football games, and just became a good friend of mine and fit right in with the guys that we had, on the football team. And then he joined the baseball team as well in the spring. Man, we were thick as thieves right there in my junior year of high school. And of course, after that school year, he moved back to Germany. And for the last, 10 years of my life, I've told Rambo, hey, man, I'm coming next summer. I'm going to come to Germany next summer. I'm going to come see you over Christmas break or spring break. And I think it was Tuesday of last week. Something came into my mind, and I said, I'm booking a flight to Germany right now. And so I did that. And so over spring break, I'm going to go to Hamburg, Germany to see my good friend Rasmus. Super excited about that. I've never been out of the country. Had a passport for years. I've been to 29 states in this country, but I've never been out of it. And so, crazy excited to go see my good friend and to go see a new place and experience the German culture. That can't come quick enough. Excited to do that. So, learning some German, cafe, which is really close to coffee, would mean coffee in German. So got my cafe right here. I'm only on it about day, 5 of learning. So got a long ways to go in learning some German. So excited to see my good buddy there and to experience some new things in life. Before I have kids, and I thought, why not right now? So see you in March there, my boy Rambo. Excited about it. Been to 2 Arkansas football games in a row. Went to Memphis last weekend and then went to Fayetteville this weekend to see them play Notre Dame, which you may have seen in the Huddle short on Instagram or TikTok. Yesterday was a long day. My good friend Gunnar Cook and I, we took off from Manila at about 3 a.m. On not much sleep at all. About 3 hours of sleep after we played Osceola on Friday night. We took off at 3 a.m. Hit Fayetteville around 8. Got to be there for the Hog Walk, which is where all the players get off the buses from the hotel and they walk into the stadium. I've been a part of that, 6 times, getting off that bus and seeing all those fans, and you're dressed up in your suit. It feels really cool to give all those high fives, but it was cool to see that from the other side of the fence and to cheer on my guys that I coached. Devin Bale, Ashton No, Scott Starzik, Gavin Rush, Zach Haber, Landon Phipps, guys like that, that I got to see getting off the bus. My guy from Arkadelphia, Donovan Witten, who's been playing some special teams for the Hogs. He gets off the bus and goes, "Hey, there's the In the Huddle podcast," and gave me a hug. And so got a shout out about the podcast right there at the Hog Walk. So just to see everybody that I got close with while I was at Fayetteville was super cool. And then I got to see my first ever game from Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium as a fan. I'd only seen games in that stadium on the sidelines. So that atmosphere to start the game was electric. And I got to take it all in. I got to really look around and hear the sounds and feel the energy from the fans. Whereas last year I was focused on a goal of, doing my role to help us win a football game. And so being able to hear the band and, be a part of the hog call, man, that was super cool. A good Notre Dame team came into Fayetteville and got the win. I'm not going to write off Notre Dame either. I didn't mention that in the opening, but I think Notre Dame's a really talented football team. Got the best of the Hogs yesterday. And so really enjoyed just, experiencing that atmosphere and getting to go down the field after the game and once again see all my people. Got to talk to my good friend, Chris Norris, who was the special teams analyst there when I was there. He's still there. And I got to give him a big hug. And Adam Dulka, who's now the special teams graduate assistant there. Man, those two guys are awesome. And, got to, speak to some of my players again, Jace Petty, Kyle Thompson. We had a great conversation. So, Devin Bell and Ashton Noe, two captains of that Razorback football team, me and Devin, we had a good embrace and had a good talk. And man, just so proud of what all those guys have accomplished. And after the game, headed back to Manila and, watched a few of those ball games, watched a little bit of dirt racing. And while I've got dirt racing, while I say dirt racing, shout out to my guy, Tyler Erb, repping one of his sweatshirts today. Tyler Erb out of New Waverly, Texas, a good friend of mine and heck of a dirt racer. But, got home last night, running on fumes, ran into Manila on fumes and watched some good football and watched some good racing as well. So, and I spoke about how I'd been to 2 Razorback games in a row, and the first one last weekend going to Memphis and seeing the University of Memphis beat the University of Arkansas in a fantastic football game. Wanted to see the Hogs win that one really bad. What a fantastic game that was. That was really cool to see. When that Liberty Bowl gets done, when that stadium is done with its renovations, it's going to be beautiful. So you had a lot of people packed into, I guess about 65% of what that place really holds. But when those renovations get done, that's going to be a beautiful stadium. But this is a story that I wanted to share, and something that it warmed my heart, and it's something that more of this world needs, with all the negative going on in the world, and it feels like there's division in this country. The world needs more of what I'm about to tell. After the game, we're walking down the street that runs just east of the Liberty Bowl. And there's not many tailgaters. There's not much going on that street. It's more of a residential street, but there was a group of people with a small box trailer that had a barbecue grill out and, enjoying themselves. And we're walking down the street there, me and my wife and my in-laws, in our Razorback gear, of course. And a gentleman stops me. This gentleman I've never seen in my life, never met him, and offers us some turkey legs and something to drink. And I said, man, I appreciate it, but we're a little tired. We're going to get back across the river to Arkansas and got to get back to see our dogs. But man, I appreciate the offer. He goes, man, y'all sure y'all don't want a cold water or man, or something to eat? I was like, man, I really appreciate that. That's really nice just to offer that up to 2 strangers or to 4 strangers, excuse me. And obviously these people tailgating were in the Memphis Tiger Blue and we're Memphis fans. I said, man, no, I appreciate it, man, so much. We're going to go ahead and get back. And I said, but hey, congratulations on the win. That was such a great game. He said, man, wasn't it? That was a fantastic game. And so I'm getting ready to walk away. And I say, man, thank you so much for the offer of the food. God bless. And the gentleman looks at me and he goes, I love you, man. And I said, I love you too. And we, dapped up, gave each other a high five and a hug and just a good warm embrace. And And that was a complete and total stranger and someone that I may never see again. And it made my day. It made me happy. He was spreading joy and love. And so when I got back to the truck, I said, man, there's nothing more in this world that I want right now than to go back and eat one of those turkey legs and sit down and have a conversation with that gentleman, because it showed that he had Jesus Christ absolutely flowing through him and was being a blessing to the world. And if you know who that is by chance, if on the street that runs east of the Liberty Bowl, that they set up a box trailer and a barbecue grill, if you know who that is, I don't know where this podcast reaches, how far it reaches, but I would love to figure out who that is and go visit them at a Memphis home game. Because that's what the world needs. The world needs more love. The world needs more joy and less division. And so, I just felt like that was a super, super cool moment. And that's something that I want to do. I want to spread joy and love to the people around me and even the people that I don't know. So, I just found that super, super cool. But today's guest for episode 6 of the In the Huddle podcast, a voice that has resonated over the Mid-South for years, an angelic, a powerful voice that you have most likely heard cross over your radio waves in your lifetime. He's been a staple in my life for the last 15 or so years. He's a tremendous family friend, husband, and father. The guest for episode 6, the voice of the Arkansas State Red Wolves, Mr. Matt Stolz. Fresh off the road from Monroe, Louisiana, voice of the Red Wolves, Mr. Matt Stolz. How's the trip, man?
Man, it's good to be with you, number one, Kane. This is awesome that you're doing a podcast. I'm so proud of you, man. And
thank you.
I think it's a great idea for you with just your love of football, sports, life in general. I've always just thought the world of you, buddy. And it was a quick trip to Monroe. I think we were there less than 24 hours. So
Wow.
That's kind of the way it is with some of these trips. You get there, you call the game, and you come right back. But good to be back home. Looking forward to being at home this week. And hopefully that football team can get right pretty soon.
That's right, man. Absolutely. They need to. They need a big win. Need a big win. So thank you for the compliment, though. That made my day. So I appreciate it. I've always thought a lot of you, too. So just thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, this is awesome and just fun when you get to talk in this kind of setting. And, Brad Bobo and I have been doing our Second to None podcast the last, 3 or 4 years now. And I didn't know what to expect once we kind of got into the podcast world, but it's turned into something we really, really enjoy because we've taken it kind of the long form interview route. And we've been able to interview so many people in and around Arkansas State. And I was telling you before we started recording, we're recording on Sunday afternoon. Brad and I recorded our latest episode earlier today with Kelsey McCray, who was a great player back from 2008 to 2011. And he ended up being a first-team All-Sun Belt selection and played a handful of years in the NFL, and he's going into the Hall of Honor this week. So to be able to have a conversation with him after all these years and talk about his career, and it's not just the former athletes, but former coaches, present student athletes and coaches, and you're able to get to know them on a deeper level, and that's what I've really been able to enjoy through this entire process, and hopefully our fans enjoy it as much as we do.
No doubt. And that's kind of the same idea that I've got for this. Get in the huddle with people. So it's kind of a name about football, but you get to know people on a deeper basis. And so that's kind of what I see, a long interview type situation. And so but I was in the same boat as you. I didn't really know what to expect. And it's taken off a little bit, and I think I've gotten some people that like it a lot. And so, but I've said it since I started. I don't care if I've got 2 listeners or 2 million. I'm going to keep doing this thing. So,
Well, good. As long as you're enjoying it, you should stick with it.
no doubt, no doubt. So, for those of you that don't know, Mr. Stolz is the play-by-play, I guess you would say, broadcaster for the Arkansas State Red Wolves. So, how did you get into that? Why broadcasting? Why did you want to choose that as your career path?
You know, Kane, I don't know if I ever thought of doing anything else. When I was 8 years old, I decided I wanted to be a sportscaster. And
Wow.
I never had a plan B, which probably wasn't very smart. I just only thought of being a sportscaster. And that was my direction from 8 years old on. I remember growing up and I fell in love with just the art of sportscasting. And my dad and I would play catch in the backyard during the summertime. And we'd always have one of the old transistor radios set up in the backyard and we'd listen to Texas Rangers games. And
Okay.
I grew up in the Dallas Fort Worth area and I was a huge Rangers fan. And a big reason why was because of listening to those games growing up. And Eric Nadel and Mark Holtz were the two voices of the Rangers at that time. And Eric Nadel is still going. He's been going my entire life, and he's still the voice of the Rangers. And he's actually
Wow.
in the Hall of Fame now. He's in Cooperstown. But just he was the guy I wanted to be, and he's still my broadcast hero to this day. But
That's awesome.
that was my goal. I wanted to bring the game to life to our listeners and or to anybody who had an interest in sports. And he made it exciting for me. He took me to the ballpark every single night. I felt like I was there. I just loved that feeling. And at some point, I decided, hey, I want to do that for other people. And I ended up going to school at the University of North Texas, which is a great broadcasting school. They have a fantastic 100,000 watt student radio station there in
Wow.
Denton. And I was able to walk to the radio station first week of my freshman year at North Texas. And I was able to go in and audition for an afternoon sports update. And that's how I got into it when I was 18 years old. And I've been on the air ever since.
That's fantastic. So that's a great story. I did not know that. And so since you were 8 years old, that's you knew that you wanted to do. So man, I can appreciate that. So you kind of told us about how you got into it at North Texas. How did you become the play-by-play guy at Arkansas State? What did that path look like?
Well, there were several stops along the way. I was at North
Okay.
Texas for 4.5 years, and I was able to do a lot of things during my time there. I went from doing sports updates, as I mentioned, to going out and being a sideline reporter for high school football games, to hosting a high school football scoreboard show, to doing color commentary, to eventually doing what I wanted to do, and that was play by play. And I was able to get all that experience at North Texas.
Right.
And you would think I would just go straight into a full time radio job from there. I did not do that. As much as I enjoyed all of that, I ended up right after I graduated North Texas going to Atlanta. And I
Okay.
lived in Atlanta for a couple of years and I worked for CNN. And during the day, I was a tour guide of CNN Center.
Wow.
I would give several tours of CNN Center every day. And at night, I had a second job at CNN. I go up one flight of stairs at CNN Center, and I'd work for the old CNN Sports Illustrated, which was an all sports station, a competitor of ESPN's
Okay.
for a good long time. And they actually were doing real well in that sports world for a long time before they eventually moved on and
Right.
that station went away. But I was able to go upstairs and I was a production assistant at night. So I had a lot of fun being a young 20 something fresh out of college living in Atlanta, Georgia, and working for CNN. But after a couple of years, I got that itch again. I just was like, play by play is what I ultimately want to be. It's all I've ever wanted to do. And
Right.
to do that, I was going to have to go to a small market. I knew I had to go to a small market to get back into it. So I moved from Atlanta, Georgia to Mena, Arkansas, out in western Arkansas. And
Really know it well.
I lived there for probably about a year and a half. And I was doing news and sports, and I was doing play by play for Mena High School and some of the other surrounding high schools. And it was just a learning experience for me. It was a big pay cut from what I was making in
Right.
Atlanta, but I took the risk. I wanted to ultimately do play by play. And after my time in Mena, I got a job in Searcy. I was doing play by play for Searcy High School. I did some Harding University play by play as well. And I was hosting a morning show in Searcy. I was there all of about 14 months. And
Okay.
then the job at Arkansas State opened up, and that was my opportunity to come to Jonesboro. And look, it seemed like a long road, but when I got the job, I was 27 years old. At the time, I
Wow.
was the youngest FBS play by play announcer in the country. I'm certainly not that now, 21 years later, but it was a great experience for me, and I was fortunate and blessed to have the opportunities I had when I had them. And
Right.
it's been a great, great ride in my 21 seasons now at Arkansas State.
Fantastic. I had no clue that you were a Mena Bearcat. I did not know that.
I tell you, you go from living in Atlanta when you're a young 20 something to Mena, Arkansas, your social life changes dramatically
I
in a big
guarantee it
hurry.
does. I
Oh,
mean,
you
so
were
I was
right
on
up
the
the
other
road,
end
and
also of that rivalry. I was at Waldron.
that's
So,
right.
obviously we weren't there at the same time, but I know Mena well. There was a huge rivalry when I was at Waldron High School.
Yeah, right down the road from Mena. But
Yes.
it was a time that I look back and I'm really thankful for, because I was able to kind of get back to the basics of radio. And I love radio. And
Right.
it's something that I'm more passionate about than ever. It's something that's not going away. I love local radio. I think it's still as strong as it's ever been.
No doubt.
Now, what we've done in the world of radio, and a big part of my job is everything I do, I wear a lot of hats at East Arkansas Broadcasters, in addition to being the play by play voice of the Red Wolves. I do a lot in the radio world, and it's something that we have to continue to evolve in, like any line of business.
Yes.
Radio's still going strong, but there's what you're doing. There's podcasts,
Of
there's
course.
social media, there's everything else going around the world of radio that you have to adapt and adjust. We talk about that in the world of sports all the time, especially when you look at collegiate sports and all the changes happening there. You have to be able to adapt, or you're going to go wayside. It's
No
just,
doubt.
it's something that's a fact of life in any business that you're in. But I was able to really learn those fundamentals again with that year and a half I was in Mena.
Awesome. I love that. And, you talked about earlier about how the game was brought to life by the play-by-play guy of the Rangers, and that's why you enjoyed it. And you do the same for Arkansas State. It's fantastic to hear you call games, and so you do a fantastic job there. And so thank you for all you do for Arkansas State and Northeast Arkansas as a whole, and the radio side of things.
Well, I appreciate it. I still love what I do as much as anything. And look, there's moments when you're working so hard, and look, I know everybody works hard at their jobs this time of year, especially. Once September rolls around, it's
Yeah,
7 days a week for me for about 9 months, because football overlaps with men's basketball, and then men's basketball overlaps with baseball. There's always
no
stuff
doubt.
going on in addition to everything that's happening at EAB. And there's moments where you're like, gosh, I mean, is it really worth it? And then you get in
100%.
the booth on Saturday. And I remember there was a moment a few weeks ago, we had that incredible game with Iowa State and had
Yes.
a chance to upset the 14th ranked team in the country. And I remember during a timeout, I look over at Darian Griswold, who's my analyst, and I've got Kate Carlton, who's spotting
Yeah.
for me right between us. And I said, man, this is fun, guys. This is why we do it right here. And I just had a blast. And I remember telling people afterwards, I've never had more fun calling a loss than I did that day. But it was just so much fun being in that environment and doing what it is that I love so much. And you have those moments that make it worth it.
Absolutely. And it's the little things like that that keep you going. Anytime you're going through a struggle, I've felt that a lot. It's those little moments that make you look around and go, "This is fun. I love what I do." If it's a high five from a guy I coach with, or a hug from a player after a big play, that's what makes it worth it. Um, was that the biggest home game in Arkansas State history?
You know, we've had a lot of big home games over the years. If you're going to ask me the biggest home game, I'm going to go back to the last game of 2012, and we're playing a
Wow.
conference championship in front of a sold out crowd against Middle Tennessee. It's the top two teams in the league, and we go in and just absolutely dominate Middle Tennessee
Roll.
and win 45-0 and end up celebrating a conference championship on the field right after the
Yes,
game. I know you were there and
I was.
remember it well, but yeah, that's what I would consider as the biggest home game that I've ever called at Arkansas State. And look, we had a big one the year before, kind of capping off an 8-0 conference season with a win over Troy. That
Right.
was the year that Hugh Freeze was here. We had, that home game. I know we lost it against Missouri. If you're looking at high profile opponents,
Correct.
Missouri was in here back in 2015. And if Freddie Knighton does not get hurt in that game,
They
then
win the game.
I still fully believe that the Red Wolves win that contest. So yeah, we've had some great ball games over the years, a lot of fun games at home.
2 points about 2 of those games. One, I believe it was Nathan Harold that had the pick six against Middle Tennessee State, correct?
Yes, Nate Harold had a big interception.
I think that's maybe the loudest I've heard a crowd at Arkansas State. It
Oh my
it
gosh.
roared in there.
And the game was over by halftime. I mean, it was,
Yes,
I believe, 35-0 at halftime. And to see that stadium completely filled on the last day of the season, and you look back historically, as the weather gets colder, a lot of times the crowd kind of dwindles off,
correct.
but it did not that year. The
Not at
team
all.
just kept getting better and better and better. And they were so dominant at the end of the year. And to see it kind of come to fruition in Coach Malzahn's final game there, you just saw
Yes,
the most perfect performance that you could ever ask for against a good football team. Middle Tennessee
no
was,
doubt.
they were playing for a conference championship too. And the Red
Yes.
Wolves just absolutely dominated that day.
That was a fun day. It really was.
Yep.
And to see, Ryan Apple up there on the stage with Mickey Ryan, I believe. I can see that picture in my head.
Yeah, Mickey
Uh,
was actually doing the sidelines for us. So
yeah, he was.
back then we would send it down to him and he did the ceremony on the field. So yeah, it was just a great scene all the way around. And I'll never forget it. We had celebrations on the field in latter years. 2015, I remember we won the conference championship and
Yes.
celebrated on the field after beating Texas State. So yeah, just some great moments there at Centennial Bank Stadium.
I got to be on the field for both of those celebrations. And going back to 2015, the Missouri game, that was my first game on the field as a student equipment manager for Arkansas State, if you remember that.
Is that right?
It
Okay.
was.
What a great memory.
Yes, and man, I completely believe if Freddie Knighton stays healthy, I think we knock off Missouri that day. And then getting to be a part of the celebration in 2015, not on staff, but as a part of the program as a student equipment manager, that was awesome.
Yeah, just those are the memories that just stay embedded in your mind.
No
Those,
doubt.
and there's so many games that I've called over the years, and I kind of joke there's some guys in our conference that I stay close with, mostly broadcasters. We actually have
Okay.
a group text with all the play-by-play guys in the league, and there's a couple of guys in particular that seem to remember pretty much any game that they've called. Well, I'll say I don't know how you do that. I mean, I don't remember 99% of the baseball games I've ever called. Basketball, they've got to be pretty special for me to remember them. Now,
Right.
football, they're easier to remember because there's such a long lead up to the games. You prepare
Yes.
for an entire week, and then there's only 12 to 13 games a season that you'll call. So I remember more football games, but when there's moments like that where you're celebrating a championship, those are some of those core memories for you as
No
a
doubt.
broadcaster, sports fan, anybody that is around it. So yeah, I'll never forget those either.
When anything comes to fruition like that, it is really special. And, I can think about both of those days. I can think about the Liberty Bowl, being a part of a championship, and those are really cool moments. So you say you remember every football game you've ever called. So what
I
is
don't
your
know if I
favorite?
remember every football
Okay,
game I've ever called.
okay.
A lot of them.
Oh, gotcha. And it would be hard to do. I don't remember every game I've ever coached in. So, but most of them. What would be your favorite call?
My favorite game that I've called.
Let's go moment. Like one singular call.
Gosh, man, there's so many of them. You know, if we're going to just say anything, I'll start with basketball.
Okay.
There was a moment a couple of years ago at the Sun Belt tournament. We're playing in the semifinals of the conference tournament, and Freddie Hicks hits a buzzer beater to beat Appalachian State. That was a lot of fun for me.
Okay.
Football wise, I think you got to start with the Hail Mary back in 2006. I was just in my second season at Arkansas State, and the great Bill Keedy is my analyst at the time, and
Legend.
that call has been played many times over the years, and it's certainly one that I'll never forget. But yeah, there's just so many. I had a blast last year calling the bowl win over Bowling Green and Corey
Right.
Rucker going for a 79-yard touchdown in that game. And there's just so many great moments over the years, bowl wins. I'll never forget, calling that Cure Bowl victory. That's one of my favorite games, going to
Okay.
Orlando and beating UCF. I remember going to Troy when they were ranked in the top 25 and just beating the brakes off of them that
Yeah.
same year back in 2016, won that game 35-3. So those are some of them, Kane. I'm sorry. I know you asked for one, but I really have a hard time narrowing it down to just one memory.
You know, I take questions of the day and people will say one thing. And I don't think I ever give one straight answer. So no apology needed. Those are all great moments. The miracle in Memphis, that's a super one.
Yeah, that miracle in Memphis was really special. And I'm always, even all these years later, I'm always trying to get better, and I'm trying to go back and listen to myself. I'll go back and listen to part of my call every single week. And
Right.
even all these years later, I'm trying to make sure I'm as good as I can possibly be. I want to make sure that I'm not going to any kind of crutch phrases or doing anything that I think are maybe bad habits.
Okay.
And when you do that, you're constantly improving, but then you listen to yourself from years back. And I listened to myself in 2006, and I know our fans love that call. I try not to cringe listening to myself back in year 2 at Arkansas State, because I know I'm much different as a broadcaster now. And I would like to think I'm much better now than I
Right.
was back then. Still, I go back and I listen to that call and I'm like, well, I don't know how much I would have changed with that, just because of the pure reaction and the joy and what Coach
Right.
Keedy was able to contribute to that call. So
No doubt.
it's still one of my favorites.
And I can appreciate how you're so hungry to evolve and continue to better yourself, even 21 years in. That's really special. So I truthfully adore that.
Yeah. And that's the way you got to be. If you're going to continue to uh, do your job, you need to strive to get better at your job. And
That's right.
I know on the field, they're trying to be the very best. They're trying to win championships. I want to be the best at what I do. I want us to have the best broadcast in the country every single week. And that's my goal. And I do know that nobody's going to out prepare me for a broadcast. I think that's where
Awesome.
it begins, is the preparation aspect. So
Yes.
I'm never going to shortchange myself, shortchange our listeners, our fans. Every single week, I'm going to put in the same amount of effort getting ready for a football broadcast, and it's the same thing when I get ready for a basketball or a baseball broadcast as well. I'm going to treat that the same way I do any other game. And I remember a couple of years ago at the end of baseball season, I'm wrapping up 9 months of traveling and calling games. And we had already been eliminated from a spot in the conference tournament. We're playing what is essentially a meaningless game, if you want to call it that, at the
Right.
end of the baseball season. And if ever there's a time to kind of mail it in, getting ready for a broadcast, I think a lot of people would be tempted to, but I just couldn't do it. I mean, I'm going to still prepare for that broadcast as if it's the most important game of the season. So that's the way I treat it. I'm not going to, cheat myself, cheat our listeners, or our profession for that matter. And that's the way I'm going to continue to treat that going forward.
That's truthfully unmatched passion. That's super. And I can agree with that. When I'm prepared for this podcast, I feel like it's better. If I don't spend that extra 30 minutes preparing, I feel like that it's not as good. So it relates for sure.
One of my favorite quotes, and one that I go back to a lot, is a John Wooden quote. And he's got a lot of great ones, but he said, failing
Yes, he
to
does.
prepare is preparing to fail.
No doubt. No doubt. And that's an easy one. Those
Yeah.
easy short quotes that strike the
You
heart.
can
I love
remember
that.
those easier.
Yeah, no doubt. So you talked about the Rangers play-by-play guy that you love. You talked about Coach Keedy a little bit, who was an absolute legend. Who who would you say is your biggest influence of your career?
Well, Eric Nadell is definitely my biggest influence, and
Okay.
he's still my broadcast hero all these years later, and I still listen to as many Ranger games as I possibly can throughout the course of the season. If you're looking at just some well-known current broadcasters, one guy that I absolutely love is Kevin Harlan, and he does
Okay.
both radio and television, and you'll hear him during football and basketball seasons. And it's really neat to kind of hear him go back and forth, because he does a lot of TV, but he also does a ton of radio, and he is as good at that as anybody you'll listen to. And you listen to Kevin
Right.
Harlan call a national football broadcast on Westwood One, and it is elite play by play. And the
Awesome.
way he describes that action is as good as anybody. And then, he knows how to switch it over to the TV side. Obviously, when you're a play by play guy on the radio side, you're the one doing most of the talking. You've got to be able to describe the action and bring the game to life, put people there at the game who can't see it.
Right.
When you go to TV, you're really speaking in captions and you're setting up your analyst a lot more. It's a
Okay.
completely different type of broadcast when you go over to TV, and I've done both. But on the radio side, you've kind of got to drive it. You've got to be the one that controls everything that's going on when you're doing play by play. You've got to be that assist guy. You've got to be John Stockton when you're doing a TV broadcast and you're providing the play by play, because you've got to be able to set up everybody else during the course of that broadcast.
That's a great way to put it. Wow, I've never really thought about that. So I can appreciate that. So we've talked about a lot of facts. We've talked about your career. We've talked about some awesome moments at Arkansas State. So I'm gonna finish this thing with two hypotheticals. Number one, what is your dream venue to call a game at?
The Rose Bowl. I would love to call a game at the Rose Bowl because I've just always loved the pageantry. I've loved the scene. There's no better
Yes.
scene in all of sports than the sun setting at the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day and watching that game and seeing the way that stadium looks when it's full. And it's always just so picturesque. And
It is.
look, you could offer me tickets to the Rose Bowl or the Super Bowl on any given year, and I'm going to say, hey, give me a ticket to the Rose Bowl.
I agree.
I think just being in that venue would be spectacular.
I think it's college football's best tradition. I truthfully do.
Yeah, they
So
call it the granddaddy of them all.
Yes, no doubt, no doubt. So you've seen a lot of Arkansas State football. You've seen some great players. If you could build an offensive lineup with the guys that you've seen at Arkansas State, I want to hear it. So let's start at quarterback.
Man, we've had some really, really good ones. I think,
Okay.
The guys that are top of mind for me, and look, Justice Hansen was incredible. What a
Yes.
great quarterback he was. Freddie Knighton was spectacular, and he doesn't get nearly enough credit for just how good he was. He covered up a lot of problems and still won conference championships just by doing what Freddie did. And I loved Corey Leonard. He was fantastic and really loved calling his games and watching him play. But look, I called 4 years of Ryan Applin games, and he was kind of the author of some of the best moments in Arkansas State football history. So I got to take App if I'm going to have one.
No doubt. I've got a soft spot for Ryan Applin. What an amazing human and a heck of a quarterback. I love watching him play. He did some great things.
Without a doubt.
So let's switch over to running back. Give me one.
Well, we had a really good one when I got here with Reggie Arnold. He was redshirting that 2005 season and then had 4 really, really good years after that. I was a big Warren Wand fan. He was really good and ended up rushing for over 3,000 yards in his career. But, if there's one during my time that I would take at that running back position, I'd probably go Michael Gordon. He was just he was really fun to watch, just electric, especially when he got in the open field. You weren't going to be able to catch him. So, yeah, if you've got to select one, that's probably the one I'm going to take.
So, I got to be around both Warren and Michael a lot because when I was an equipment manager, I was with the running back.
Yeah.
And so both of those guys were on that 2015 roster. So really enjoyed being around those guys. 2 great players. There's a run that Michael Gordon made at App State. I think App State was undefeated in conference at the time. And I'm running down the sideline with him as a ball boy, and I drop a ball and kick it down the sideline, and you can see it on ESPN. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I remember that particular run. I don't remember your kick. I need to go back and watch that now.
I'll have to send you the clip. You can really see it good from the end zone view. And I was trying to keep up with Flash Gordon there, but I had zero chance.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorite games. We went in there and just it was dominant, and
Yes.
the way our conditioning took over in the second half of that game is what I remember, because the Red Wolves just completely pulled away from what was a really good Appalachian State team. So
Right.
that's one of the more impressive victories on the road that I've ever called.
Boone, North Carolina, beautiful setting for a football stadium.
Oh my gosh, yes, that is a great venue.
Yes.
They have one of the more picturesque baseball stadiums as well. You need to get online at some point and see where that stadium sits. It's at the very top of campus. It's you keep driving up the hill from the football stadium, and if you eventually get to the baseball stadium, but it's a good ways up that mountain. And once you get there at the top, you're right there at the baseball stadium, and you see pictures during the fall and when the trees just completely surround that stadium. It's one of the best looking baseball photos that you'll ever see.
No doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. So you've given me quarterback, running back. Let's finish it off. 2 receivers and a tight end.
2 receivers and a tight end. Man, we've had some really good receivers, and that may be as tough as anything to narrow that down, because you think of the Jonathan Adams and Kirk Merritt and Justin McInnes, Taylor Stockemer, Dwayne Frampton, just so many dynamic receivers. Alan Muse was a really good one.
No doubt.
But if I've got to take 2, I'm probably going to go with a couple of number 7s. I'm going to go with Omar Bayless, and I'll go with Corey Rucker. Corey is currently the NCAA active leader in career receiving yards for a reason, and they've just been 2 fantastic players at Arkansas State. So those are my guys. If I got to take 2,
both of those guys,
no doubt about it.
All right, to finish it off, the Matt Stolz led Arkansas State Red Wolves. Who's your tight end?
Tight end. Darian Griswold. Got to be Grizz.
Big Grizz. Love him.
He's my partner now. I got to pick Grizz, but
you have to.
He still is my favorite, and he was as good as there's ever been at Arkansas State. He was great in that blocking role. He was a great pass catching tight end as well, and he went on to play a couple of years in the NFL. Yes. There's no better guy than Darian Griswold, and he's in his 3rd season in the broadcast with me now, and he gets better every single game. He loves being a part of the broadcast. I love having him there with me. He's got a great work ethic when it comes to the broadcast, and you talk about a great guy to hang out with. We have a blast. Him and J.C. Cox and I, we have a lot of fun together doing those road games. So, Darian Griswold is definitely my tight end.
Grizz may not remember me, but when I was an equipment manager there, he treated me the right way. And sometimes there were guys that may not have appreciated equipment managers as much, or not saying they were rude or anything, but Darian Griswold treated me well. So tell him I said thank you. And I look forward to listening to him.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's one of a kind. Certainly one of the all-time good guys. One great memory about Grizz, and I tell him every now and then when it comes up, you remember all the great things he did as a tight end, but he had come to Arkansas State as a quarterback, and his last game as a Red Wolf was that 2015, or his last home game as a Red Wolf was that 2015 game against Texas State. And we clinched the conference championship that day. I referenced it earlier, had a great celebration on the field. Well, Coach Anderson actually put Grizz in at quarterback for his last play, and he was able to run it in for a score. And that's one of those memories you just don't forget.
No doubt. I love that. Matt, thank you so much for your time. I know that you're a man of many hats and you're very busy. And so for you to be able to set aside some time to join me, you have no clue how much I appreciate it. And I wish you the best moving forward. Look forward to hearing you call some more ball games. And once again, just can't thank you enough.
Well, this is a blast, Kane. I am willing to come on here anytime. We'll talk ball or whatever else you want to talk about. But think the world of you, think the world of your family, and just good luck on the podcast, man. This is going to turn into a big hit.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and pencil you down for your second visit. So
Yes,
we might
sir.
have
Do it.
to get it ready here pretty soon.
Let's do it anytime.
Voice of the Red Wolves, a great human, great play-by-play guy, a guy that means so much to me, Mr. Matt Stolz. Thank you so much. Today's question of the day. All that good jazz, and even these cool chains right here. This Hoxie chain that I've got hanging up here is from Market Bliss, and so um, if you're in the market for some fresh clothes for the fall, hit up Market Bliss there in Jonesboro, Arkansas, for your apparel needs. So thank you to Market Bliss for the chain, and bought some shorts from there as well. So thank you for what you do for me and the podcast here. Got me some fresh Hoxie swag up there, right next to this new In the Huddle banner that I've got hanging up. My good friend Dusty Cagle hooked me up with that, man. I can't thank him enough for the banner. It's a super cool backdrop. I was really excited to put that up today. So looks great, and can't thank him enough. But anyway, question of the day segment presented by Market Bliss out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. I've got the Baker Implement hat here. I've got the Baker Implement hat on right now as well. Baker Implement Company, Farm Needs. My good friend BJ Carr used to work at Baker Implement, so he hooked me up with these hats. BJ submitted a question of the day that I did not put in the hat. He asked me how much money I make before taxes each year. Come on, man. No, that made me laugh, BJ. I appreciate all you've done for me. Appreciate the hats right here. So, question one, and this is from my little brother. He asked me this today. Actually, he says, if you could go see any sporting event in the past, what would it be? Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, St. Louis Cardinals beating the Texas Rangers, David Freese, the triple to tie it in the ninth inning, Lance Berkman with a single to tie it in the 10th, and then David Freese hitting the walk-off home run in the 11th to send it to Game 7, in which the Cardinals eventually won the World Series. Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, in my opinion, is the best baseball game played in my lifetime, and maybe the best ever. I watched that game on TV. And that was one of those moments where you knew exactly where you were. You remember exactly where you were when that happened. I was in my recliner in my childhood home in Truman, Arkansas. I was in the 8th grade. The Rangers took the lead late. My dad goes to sleep. My mom goes to sleep. My little brother's asleep. I'm the only one in the living room watching the game. And I just go into mass hysteria. I'm freaking out, screaming, hollering, excited when David Freese hits the triple to tie it in the 9th. And then my dad ends up coming back in the living room and watching the rest of the game with me. If I could have seen that game in person, that would have been awesome. So that's hands down. That's easy answer on that one. David Freese needs a statue in St. Louis, by the way, just for that game, just for that moment. He needs a statue in St. Louis. So anybody from the St. Louis Cardinals is listening right now, make that happen. we need a 23 statue in St. Louis, right outside of Busch Stadium. Question 2, my good friend Juan Gutierrez, who I spoke to yesterday in Fayetteville. Juan's a huge John Gruden fan and loves, his takes and the way he talks. And so he says, John Gruden or John Madden? Man, they're both legends, but I would have to go John Madden. I mean, John Madden's got a video game named after him. I mean, come on, man. John Madden's a legend. I think John Gruden is a great coach. I think he's hilarious. I think the stuff he does on social media is fantastic. I would love to sit down and talk with him. I would love to have him on the podcast. But, man, John Madden's a legend. Come on, man. Come on, Juan. You know I'm going Madden on that one. And the final question of the day is from, imagine that, my good friend Gunnar Cook. Like I said, he's probably throwing in about 12 of these question of the days. And, man, it was super cool actually getting to spend some time with Gunnar yesterday. And we spent so much time together just because of being on the road, going to the game. I was in his wedding. He was in mine. A great friend of mine. Just recently had his second child, and I know he's been busy. And so to get to spend some quality time with him yesterday was super cool. But he asked, where's your favorite place to unwind in the off season? Low-hanging fruit would be the golf course, obviously. Played so much golf this summer. You could go to the lake or the beach for that matter. I think those three are the easy answers. Playing a round of golf, or being at the lake, or being on the beach with my family. Those are the easy answers. But I'm going to throw in the dirt track as well. I love to go watch a good dirt race. Spoke on a few that I went to this summer and in past episodes. And so, you know what, you can spin a wheel any of those four places: a dirt track, the golf course, the lake, or the beach. I'd be happy with any four of those options. So, not a straight answer, but there you go. So thank you for tuning in to episode 6 of the In the Huddle podcast. Going to keep this thing rolling. I'm having so much fun with this. If you're listening to this right now, I truly thank you for tuning in. You're taking time out of your day, out of your week to listen to this. And I hope it puts a smile on your face. I hope that you can learn some things about life that you may not have known. And that's the goal, is just to make every person that hears this smile at some point. So if you're hearing this right now and you smiled during this podcast, I challenge you to go make someone smile today. So thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.